The fact that Cavill had the chance to play James Bond once more. What were the number of things that led to him losing the movie? Today we have brought you this video to talk about the actors that have turned down significant roles. Who are they, and why did they do this? And every detail concerning Henry Cavill's competition with Daniel Craig. So let's get right into the video. Firstly, how did Cavill's health contribute? Rumors have persisted for a long time that Henry Cavill will replace Daniel Craig as James Bond. His disappointment at Daniel Craig's casting as James Bond in Casino Royale was palpable. Cavill got a second chance at playing James Bond after Craig's final Bond appearance in No Time to Die. But unfortunately, several things worked against him and ultimately led to his not getting the part in the film. Henry Cavill told the director that he was too overweight to be Bond following his audition. However, he now understands the value of maintaining a healthy and active lifestyle after hearing that comment claimed by Henry Cavill himself. In addition, he said that he was completely clueless about proper nutrition and exercise. He also expressed gratitude to Martin Campbell for always being forthright with him, which he said had aided his recovery. Up next, did Henry Cavill decline the lead in 300 to try out for James Bond? Man of Steel marked Henry Cavill's debut collaboration with director Zack Snyder. Nonetheless, Snyder had already extended an offer for the central part in 300. Henry Cavill said in an interview that he had passed on the part while auditioning for the James Bond role. Both Cavill and Daniel Craig got considered for the part at that time. Cavill felt confident that he would be cast, but Daniel Craig beat him out for a number of reasons. Martin Campbell advised the actor that he was too immature to become the next James Bond and that he could be a touch overweight for the role. I remember him saying he was 22 when he auditioned for Casino Royale, but perhaps he may still be James Bond in the future, he said. I auditioned for Bond and ended up turning down a leading role in 300 since it was down to Daniel Craig and me. On the other hand, Campbell suggested that the actor not lean outwards even slightly during his next audition. Finally, Henry Cavill talked about his body image struggles, explaining that he wasn't actually fat, but rather too heavy to remove his shirt in front of the camera. Cavill was devastated when he found out he hadn't gotten the part, especially since he was prepared to turn down high-profile films to do so. So, what do you need to know about Henry Cavill's love for the role of James Bond? With Daniel Craig's final outing as 007 in No Time to Die, speculation regarding the next actor to portray the role has begun. Henry Cavill is in contention to replace Daniel Craig as James Bond. In an interview, Martin Campbell increased his prospects by saying that he may be James Bond in the future. Numerous statements made by Henry Cavill have shown his desire to play James Bond. He promised that if he asked, he wouldn't turn down the chance. He's proven he can handle action scenes by taking on several films in the genre. As Campbell said, Henry Cavill has a nice body and is the right age for the part. However, Cavill isn't the only actor vying to play James Bond. According to various publications, Idris Elba, Tom Hardy, Aidan Turner, Tom Holland, and many more have all been named as potential candidates to play a young British Secret Service agent in upcoming films. Nothing can be said about what will happen in the future and who will become the next James Bond. All we know for now about Henry Cavill is that he will be featured in the upcoming movie Black Adam. Henry Cavill is not the only actor to turn down roles in some really memorable and best hits of different eras. So let's talk about some other actors who have turned down some big roles. Up next, what role did Marilyn Monroe turn down? Truman Capote's masterwork Breakfast at Tiffany's was inspired by the pearl-clad beauty of Marilyn Monroe. She was also the author's first casting choice for the character of Holly Golightly. Monroe's agency warned her that portraying a prostitute would be terrible for her reputation, so she declined the role. Instead, Audrey Hepburn was cast as the part, and her performance as the part's namesake became a signature role. Monroe, meantime, produced The Misfits, a film based on a play by her husband, Arthur Miller. According to reports, Miller and Monroe's marriage terminated due to disagreements over the screenplay during filming. In the year following its publication, she would sadly pass away. Keep watching along closely. We're about to tell you everything you need to know about an actor who actually turned down the opportunity to be James Bond. Who could do such a thing? Well, we're about to tell you, so don't go anywhere. Coming right up, what roles did Leonardo DiCaprio turn down? Leonardo DiCaprio arguably compiled one of the most impressive resumes compared to other working actors today. In 2008, when questioned by GQ about a position he passed down but later regretted, Leonardo DiCaprio gave a simple answer. A scene from Boogie Nights featuring Dirk Diggler. The unexpected turn, Titanic was the movie that DiCaprio ended up doing. As he told GQ, I believe they're both wonderful and hope I might have done both, but he also seemed to wonder what if he'd picked Boogie Nights rather than Titanic, the film that established him as a megastar. He told GQ, it would have been intriguing to see whether I had gone the other direction, since it had been a tremendous trajectory career-wise. Up next, what role did Brad Pitt turn down? The character of Jason Bourne, the excellent amnesiac actor from The Bourne Identity, which spawned a franchise that lasted for over a decade, was given to Brad Pitt because he was the most in-demand actor of the early 2000s. But Pitt already had a lot on his plate, so he turned down the part. As a result, the award went to Matt Damon. He is best remembered for his appearance in Good Will Hunting and The Talented Mr. Ripley. He played Jason Bourne for 4 additional times after this role transformed his career. Unfortunately, the spy game in which Pitt was featured was not as successful. Coming up next, what role did Will Smith turn down? While the Wachowskis are now widely recognized as 2 of Hollywood's most successful sibling teams, this wasn't always the case. Before The Matrix, the brothers had directed only one film, Bound, which flopped at the box office. That's why it's easy to see why Will Smith turned down the role of Neo in what would become a science fiction classic. It's too bad for Smith that The Matrix had already become Matrix and produced 2 sequels, computer games, comics, figurines, and more, totaling over $3 billion in sales and becoming one of the most lucrative franchises in history. What about the other movie that Will Smith made? Wild Wild West is the bomb that everyone hates. Up next, what did Michelle Pfeiffer turn down? Academy voters agreed, giving The Silence of the Lambs 7 nominees and 5 victories, including Best Actress in a starring role for Jodie Foster. In fact, Foster wasn't the initial choice for the part of Clarice Starling. When casting the character of the dogged investigator who finds a way to communicate with serial murderer Hannibal Lecter, the producers initially pursued Tequila Sunrise, but also Dangerous Liaison star Michelle Pfeiffer. She ultimately decided against taking part because she felt the film was too gloomy. However, she clearly changed her mind between that time and filming What Lies Beneath. Coming up next, why did Burt Reynolds turn down being James Bond? George Lazenby, who is the only actor to have ever portrayed James Bond only once, and his performance in Burt Reynolds' On Her Majesty's Secret Service is primarily regarded as being one of the worst Bond films yet filmed. What if, though, Burt Reynolds had auditioned for the part? Even though he was the most famous TV actor in Hollywood at the time, Burt Reynolds passed down the role of James Bond because he didn't think an American could do justice to the character of the British spy, so instead, it was offered to Australian Lazenby. After one more film with Sean Connery, Diamonds Are Forever, Roger Moore was cast in the role. Lastly, why did Emmy-winning comedian Eddie Murphy turn down being in Ghostbusters? It would have been fun if Eddie Murphy had been part of the first Ghostbusters with Bill Murray and Harold Ramis. No offense intended toward Ernie Hudson. Instead, Murphy claims that he and Aykroyd first discussed the idea while filming another famous comedy from the 1980s, Trading Places. When Aykroyd and Ramis were writing the Ghostbusters script, he informed his co-star Eddie Murphy that they were making a movie about a team of scientists who hunt down and destroy ghosts. That seems like a load of bull to me, Murphy allegedly said to him. Hudson was finally cast in part. And this is all from today's video. Share your thoughts on the roles that have been turned down by actors. Did they have good reasons for doing that? Also, subscribe to the channel if you still have not. We have many exciting and entertaining videos ready for you. Thanks for watching.